Welcome to the Gonzo Chronicles. This is Cyrus Alderwood. And thanks again to these Cats and Blues Hammer for the tunes. I'm about to go on one hell of a bitch. Hang on a minute, I'm going to grab a drink. Alright, let's knock that off. I'm about to cast some spells, do some voodoo on these dumbasses that run the halftime show at the Super Bowl. Hey, it's early. A little stopped up this morning. No COVID. Just woke up. Just getting my first soda in me. So bear with me as I run an IV from caffeine straight to my veins. It's going to be a long day. Today is Tuesday, February 9th. Hey, folks, we have Valentine's Day coming up. Happy Valentine's Day to some of you folks that give a shit. Anyway, what the hell was with that halftime show? You know, I know The Weeknd has probably had a couple big hits on the radio. It's cool. I get it. Not my cup of tea, not my style of music, but that's okay. Pretty eclectic. Don't mind. But that damn show. Were those jock straps? That's what I kept reading on Twitter. They're running around with jock straps on their faces. What kind of weird, I don't know, dystopian world was that? And who put that damn show together? All right, here's the thing that got me with the halftime show. I mean, you may or may not. I'm not here to shit on every artist that ever did the halftime show. But I sort of, in a way, am. But, the weird part, I'm watching this, and I recognize a couple songs from the radio, and I'm like, some people like it, that's okay. Yeah, I don't think the demographics of the people that watch the Super Bowl, that's their kind of music, they're really targeting, just like a very young crowd, and that young crowd probably don't give two shits about the Super Bowl. So, recently, in recent years, the music they put out there at the halftime, the entertainment, they're literally ignoring about 80% or 70% of their traditional audience. That's not good business. And they may still make money, and that's fine. I don't care. To me, it's not about money. It's about entertainment. And if you really wanted to entertain the vast majority of the people who are watching the Super Bowl, you're going to find some different entertainment than what you've been doing the last few years. I am going to have a top 10 of bands that should play the Super Bowl when we're done. But I'm watching this guy and all these people with this shit on their face, marching around. Once they went off the stage and underneath it or whatever, behind it or whatever, this maze, and these words are showing up on the wall. And they're moving so fast I can't really make out the words, and I don't care enough to record it and go back and play it slow so I can see it. They could be and I'm subliminal messaging. I get it. That's tricks as old as, the hills. Everybody sees it. They could be selling peace, hope, and love. I don't know. Don't give a shit. Just stop the subliminal bullshit. That was absolutely ridiculous. Because, my conspiracy theory mind, first thing I'm thinking of is that movie They Live, when the guy puts on his glasses and all the signs say something else other than the marketing that's all around them, all the billboards. Obey. Pay your taxes. Obey the law. Whatever. Just conform. All these words that are really subliminal that people are seeing they don't know they're seeing. And I saw on Twitter, some people kind of I don't know anybody on Twitter that actually liked the halftime show. Maybe a couple of people. And I try to follow a fairly diverse crowd. I don't know, man. There were some people that said that, so one person said it was satanic. I don't know about that shit, but so one person said they saw the word Satan flash up back there. And I'm like, well, maybe. I don't know. How do I know? I'm not going to go back and rewind it, or that's what they heard. I don't know. Dude, this subliminal stuff is just stupid as hell. It's so overblown. People see right through it. Stop doing it. It was just dumb. And this dystopian everybody with jock straps tied to their faces. Just dumb. Whoever in the hell produced that. Let's find out who produced that, by the way, shall we? Let's go find out. Because I actually went back and looked up who some of the most recent people were. All right, so it looks like Pepsi sponsored. Oh, no. Okay, no wonder this is weird as hell. I don't know who Jesse Collins is, but NFL Network is part of it. Jay-Z and Rock Nation. And actually, they did the last one too, with Shakira, Jennifer Lopez. So, yeah, if you want weird shit that doesn't make any sense, I guess call Jay-Z. Anyway, I'll get off of that. But I'm going to go back and, let's take a look at some of the most recent. Let's go back just like the 2010s, right? The last 10 years, who we've had as entertainment at the Super Bowl. And I remember, no, let's go back a little bit further. Let's start a little bit further back. Let's go back to the 2000s, okay? Now, the Super Bowl halftime, for those of you that don't remember, I remember some crazy stuff when I was a kid. The halftime show was actually a halftime show. They didn't just parade out one band and, get the music and, like now, like The Weeknd or just one main band. They actually had a theme, okay? Now, going back to the year 2000, the Super Bowl was in Atlanta that year, in Georgia, the Georgia Dome. And they had several performers, but the theme of the show was called Tapestry of Nations. And Disney was the one who produced it, so they got actually a big producer to do this. The people that played there on that particular halftime show, Phil Collins, Christina Aguilera, Enrique Iglesias, Tony Braxton, and an 80-person choir, which Edward James Olmos, the actor, was the narrator of. And you can actually go back and YouTube some of these things, and some of these shows that had themes were amazing. You had instrumentals that were done by that were on the Walt Disney World Millennium Celebration soundtrack. So it was just really, when I say Tapestry of Nations, I mean it was a global show, because let's face it, it is kind of a global audience in some degree. I know it's an American game, but we do have a bit of a global audience for this. Tony Braxton did "We Go On," that song, and "Two Worlds" was done by Phil Collins. Okay, now the next year, kind of a cool year, Aerosmith shows up, and the theme was the Kings of Rock and Pop. And there was a band called In Sync that you may remember. I'm sure some of you gals do. They were there too. And some of the guests, the special guests that were at that show, Britney Spears, Mary J. Blige, and Nelly. Now, MTV produced that. And Aerosmith did their song Jaded. And then I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. And, of course, In Sync did, they had a huge hit at the time called Bye Bye Bye. And then Aerosmith and NSYNC kind of teamed up with Britney Spears and the other special guest and did Walk This Way to close it out. Pretty cool, right? Then U2 came on the following year in 2002. And that was a tribute to those that were killed on September 11th, the attacks on the World Trade Center. And that was an amazing show. Now, the following year, Shania Twain and No Doubt, Gwen Stefani's band at the time, and their special guest was Sting, amazing artist. And so they did some of their hits, and Sting wrapped it up with the other two and did "Message in a Bottle," which was an amazing song. And then the theme of 2004 was called "Choose or Lose," and they had Jessica Simpson, Janet Jackson, P. Diddy, Nelly, Kid Rock, and Justin Timberlake. They also had a marching band on there called the Spirit of Houston and Ocean of Soul. MTV produced that. And they had quite a few really cool songs. And they closed it out with Rock Your Body, but Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson. Now, we all remember that was the infamous Janet Jackson, popping her tit out. And at that point, people were just like sick of shitty halftime shows because they started getting a little weird that year. So people really, really complained. And said, hey, my kids are watching this. Why do you have like a so-called wardrobe malfunction that wasn't? So the NFL stepped in and said, okay, we're going to get a little bit more traditional music. And they did for a while. And people bitched about that. I don't know why. Paul McCartney played in 2005. The Rolling Stones played in 2006. These are major headliners. One of my favorite shows of the last several years was Prince. He played in 2007 when they were in Dolphin Stadium. Pepsi actually sponsored that, and they had really great production. Prince even brought in the Florida A&M University marching band. And they did Let's Go Crazy, Proud Mary. It dropped back and did cool songs like that. 1999, All Along the Watchtower, the Jimi Hendrix song. And then closed it with Purple Rain, in the rain, mind you. So the following year, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. That was a really good show. And that was in Phoenix. And the next year was in Tampa, 2009. Bruce Springsteen. And then The Who played in 2010. And that was back down in Miami. And that was really great. I mean, there was some good shows. There was some great bands. But then, of course, you had people complaining, oh, you're not targeting the young crowd. You need to target a young crowd. So, 2011, this is when this stuff turned to shit again. The Black Eyed Peas came in. Not that I didn't like the Black Eyed Peas, but they're not really the greatest live band. But the highlight of the show was when Fergie and Slash from Guns N' Roses came out. They did Sweet Child of Mine. But then some of the songs that they were singing, the vast majority of the audience had no idea, other than Let's Get It Started and I Got a Feeling. Other than that, like people were like, what song is that? I've never heard that. And again, you alienated about 80% of your audience, and people, that part of the audience got vocal again. Madonna comes in the next year, and she has all kinds of special guests. And I applaud her for doing it, but the show sucked. It really did. It was weird as hell. Again, it got, the production got weird. She had the band LMFAO on. Cirque du Soleil was part of it. Nicki Minaj, MIA, you remember her with Paper Planes. CeeLo Green. And then she had, a high school drum line, which was cool. And but anyway, the guest she had was cool, like drum lines and marching bands and stuff like that. But it just, I guess when they all collaborated, it was just weird. It wasn't good. The next year, Beyonce came out, and she brought Destiny's Child, her original band, with her, and this was in New Orleans. And again, it was just like, I don't know, just like turned into selling sex to whatever young audience. And just the flashiness of it, again, you lost the vast majority of your audience. Bruno Mars, very talented guy, but again, you're targeting 20%, 15% of your audience at most, with the halftime show. And you're putting the rest of the country to sleep. So, is Bruno Mars talented? Yeah, he had that huge hit at the time. And Red Hot Chili Peppers actually was his special guest. And I kind of dig the Chili Peppers. But combined with Bruno Mars, a little weird. Wasn't the worst one. Katy Perry got a lot of shit the following year, 2015. They played in Arizona at Phoenix Stadium, University of Phoenix Stadium. And she had Lenny Kravitz and Missy Elliott. And then Sun Devils marching band, which was cool. I was not going to have the marching bands. I always kind of bring the local stuff in. I didn't dislike that. It was way flashy, way over the top, but Super Bowl halftime show. At least people recognize some of the songs, like Roar, Teenage Dream, California Girls. But I guess when they all collaborated, it just didn't work. And I like Lenny Kravitz. He could be just a band for the halftime show. I think that'd be a great idea. Then it just got so boring after that. Coldplay, and then everybody just bitched like I didn't, other than the Uptown Funk song, because Bruno Mars came back, Beyonce, and let's see who. Then I don't know, just some guest, but nobody knows Coldplay's shit. I mean, the only song I knew was Yellow. That was it, except for Bruno Mars coming out doing Uptown Funk. But then Lady Gaga, oh my God. At that point, I think Lady Gaga, other than her audience, it's like the vast majority of the country that's watching this. And this was down in Houston that year, 2017. The show was terrible. Justin Timberlake came back out the following year. I didn't recognize hardly, like one or two songs. That was one of the worst shows I think I'd seen. And I know there are people who like these artists, and that's fine. But just, it's not my cup of tea. Then the worst band of all came out, Maroon 5. And I remember, my mom, she watches, bless her heart, watches The Voice. And Adam Levine was on there. She recognized him, couldn't wait to hear his music, and then when she heard his music, she's like, God, that sucks. We shouldn't use those words, but like you could just see the disappointment. I'm like, yeah. Who the hell listens to that? It's like his band is not good. He's just not good. And to have that as a halftime show is incredibly disappointing. Then you had Shakira and Jennifer Lopez last year. And what the hell was with that tongue flick, And individually, they both had a lot of hit songs, but like the show wasn't really good. Again, people were just like, why are you just trying to sell sex? And some girl writhing around like a snake and flicking her tongue like she's possessed. Like, it just was weird. Like, again, another weird show, another weird production. And then you brought to the weekend this Sunday, and it's like, wow. Just wow. What the F, man? We got to do better than this, because after they decided to stop having major headliners doing the halftime show, they got the weirdest shit year after year after year that nobody really enjoys. Now, I got a couple of suggestions. I'm going to give you a top 10 who I think should be playing the halftime show at the Super Bowl. But, like I mentioned before, back in 2000, they had that tribute, right? The Tapestry of Nations. Back in the 80s and 90s, they used to have these themes. Like one of them in the 90s I thought was really cool was this was down in New Orleans, they had a Blues Brothers bash. And the Blues Brothers came, Dan Aykroyd and John Goodman, and Jim Belushi, who was John Belushi's brother, one of the original Blues Brothers. And they had ZZ Top and James Brown. All right, so they did all the hits. Everybody Needs Somebody to Love, one of my favorite ones, Soul Man. James Brown did I Got You, I Feel Good. They did Sex Machine. Believe it or not, at the halftime show, James Brown is dancing around doing Sex Machine. ZZ Top did Tush and Legs, and then all of them kind of got together and did Give Me Some Lovin'. Great show. I mean, I remember that. And it was like, that was fun. They had a salute to Motown in the 90s. And you had, who was it? Radio City Music Hall was the one who did the production. So you knew it was going to be good, right? So you had Boyz II Men, Smokey Robinson was there, The Temptations, and then I think on several different times they had the Grambling State University Marching Band. And then you had one of them you had a celebration of salsa and swing, because I remember Stevie Wonder and Gloria Estefan being in one of them. Anybody remember the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy? Anybody remember that guy? Anyway, he was in one of them. I'm scrolling here to see Diana Ross. She did the 30. Did a Take Me Higher, a celebration of 30 years of the Super Bowl. That was the theme. One year they had an Indiana Jones theme, and Patti LaBelle was there. Teddy Pendergrass, Tony Bennett, Miami Sound Machine, and Walt Disney produced that one. So I thought, 1 year it was a country Sunday, Rock and Country Sunday. Clint Black, Tanya Tucker, Travis Tritt, and the Judds. So you can see, and Michael Jackson, obviously, 93, was there and did the show. So they had these tributes. Here was one of them I was going to suggest in my top 10. What music is so traditional to America? It's 100% American made, that is known the world over. Jazz. Freaking jazz music and blues music. But jazz specifically, especially New Orleans type jazz. So they actually had a salute to New Orleans, and it was the 40th anniversary of Peanuts, right? Which is Charlie Brown, all that stuff, and Doug Kershaw there, a couple of marching bands, Pete Fountain, Irma Thomas. They did Up a Lazy River. That was really cool. Here Comes the Showboat. When the Saints go marching in, they're actually playing New Orleans that year too. And back in the 80s, they had some really, really fun stuff. They had like a tribute to the 50s. They had a salute to Hollywood's 100th anniversary. And some of the halftime, and it was a show. It wasn't just music. They actually had shows. And George Burns was a part of that. Mickey Rooney. Again, Grambling State University and the USC marching bands. Bunch of Disney characters. Area high schools with drill teams and dancers. This was in the Rose Bowl they played in '87, and Walt Disney put that on. I'm trying to salute the superstars of the silver screen in '84. '82 was a salute to the 1960s in Motown, and had a nonprofit group that brought on all these different travelers and performers. A Mardi Gras festival in '81. You had Southern University Marching Band and Helen O'Connell. Now, she was a singer and an actress, and she was a big band singer in the 40s, actually, for those who don't know that. And in 1980, they had a salute to the big band era. And again, Up With People was a part of that, and Grambling State University marching band. So you had all these really cool shows. It wasn't just weird shit that we have to get used to in this day and age. So let's get back to something cool. If we're going to have music at the halftime show, all right, let's do something a little different. Now, I'm going to change my number 8 while I'm talking here. But let's do a top 10 of who should actually play the Super Bowl. Let's target your main audience, okay? And I was running this by a friend of mine last night. She just shit all over this. She's like, oh, you got to worry about the cost and the production. And I'm like, no. You can't see the forest for the damn trees. Stop that. You ever have a friend, like, you bring up a good idea and they want to shit on it, like, immediately for whatever reason? Yeah, I got one of those too. So, anyway, barring costs and all that BS aside, if you just wanted to, like, target your main audience, like bands that people enjoy, and if you think my list is full of shit, let me know. Jump on Facebook, the Gonzo Chronicles over there, or just cyrus.alderwood@gmail.com. Who would you put on this list too? Think about it. Like, sit down, jot this down. Who's your top 10 that you would want to see at the Super Bowl? Number 10 for me, Journey. Don't Stop Believing, brother. You can imagine if the team that's getting their ass kicked at halftime can hear that in the locker room. Would that be not more like motivational than whatever the hell the coach is yelling about? Maybe. Number 9, Def Leppard. All right? Come on, man. These guys are still touring. I went back and looked at some of the bands that were still touring to make sure, it wouldn't be a shit show. Originally at 8, I had Aerosmith, but since they were on several years ago, I decided, let's slip Bon Jovi in there. whether you like Bon Jovi or not, he's got a couple of big arena hits that would fit, like, who wants, can you imagine Wanted, Dead or Alive? That'd be kind of cool. Bad Medicine, Runaway. Like, get some tunes in there that are, like, well popular. Living on a Prayer. Hey, come on, Kansas City could have used that one, right? But let's go back to some of the traditional stuff. Let's have a salute to the blues. And let's have some of the blues greats that come in that are still living and play some classic stuff by like Howlin' Wolf and some of the greats, B.B. King and Muddy Waters, Robert Johnson. You could have Joe Bonamassa come out and start with Feelin' Bad Blues and then bring on somebody like Eric Gales. Just wail on that guitar, maybe do some something by Hendrix. They're just amazing. That would be an amazing show. And again, that's something you probably do down in New Orleans, right? I get that. Let's have another where we salute the jazz legends and have like modern day, like top 10 selling and touring jazz bands come out with like huge, like with marching bands and their own horn sections and just blow the roof off of that place down in New Orleans. That'd be great. Let's celebrate Americana at halftime. Let's get back to a theme if we wanted to do that. My number 5, I was going to put Van Halen, but, Eddie Van Halen, rest in peace. How do you bring Van Halen back? But never fear, Paradise City is awaiting to be played on prime time again. Let's bring Guns N' Roses out for a 4-song set and, like, tap it off, close that out with Paradise City. Open it up with Welcome to the Jungle and close it with Paradise City. Somewhere in there you could do Sweet Child of Mine, maybe Patience. Something, something cool. Now listen, before these teams start playing, to hype the crowd up and between plays, these stadiums are always playing hard rock and heavy metal to pump people up. So bring those bands in there and let them play halftime. People love that shit. Metallica could come in and do a 4 or 5 song set. Play 25 minutes. Pump the crowd up. Enter Sandman. That would be great. That's played everywhere in every arena. So let's do this. AC/DC before they all drop dead. So let's bring AC/DC in next year for a halftime show. Ring hell's bells. Come on, man. Now I thought about let's bring several guests in, like compilation stuff, and I guess these other bands could bring a special guitar player or something, whatever they want to do. But what one of the biggest selling things are, these themes on these cruises, are people get together and they go out for 80s heavy metal. And they get all these power tours from these 80s hair bands of the 80s that are touring. So why don't we have a few of them? Who's still touring? LA Guns, Dokken, Poison. Each one gets a song or two. Right? And just have them set up a round stage. One band in each section that just rotates. And the cover comes off and you get nothing but a good time. Just really cool stuff. I thought about throwing Motley Crue in there, but God, have you seen the YouTube videos of their live stuff lately? Man, they suck. I wouldn't want that at halftime show. I wouldn't know how to explain that to kids. These days, I used to listen to that. Cinderella, I wonder if they would come out and do something. Well, there's some great bands from the 80s you could just plug in there that had huge monster hits that are still, you might even hear them on commercials today. Rat, oh my God, the Rat is in a commercial with Round and Round, right? So why not bring some of these bands back and just do a 4 or 5 bands and just rotate around a stage. The cover comes off of that band and boom, you got the next major hit. And that'd be fun. It'd be fun. These bands are still touring. People still love that music, man. You hit a pretty significant demographic with it. But if you really want a halftime show to blow the doors off of anything else, you want a show, you want rock and roll, you want people up off their asses and enjoying what's going on around them, who the hell else are you going to bring in? You call Paul and you call Gene and you bring Kiss in. And you close it out with rock and roll all night and party every day. The anthem of all anthems that every generation knows. Come on, dude. Here's your top 10 list. So anyway, what makes yours? What makes your list? All right, it's a few minutes after 9. I got a long day ahead of me. Yeah. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning into the Gonzo Chronicles. I appreciate the hell out of it. Wherever you're listening to this at, I'm also on iTunes and Spotify. We're on Podbean. Share the show with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe, leave it a ranking, and pop over on Facebook and give the Gonzo Chronicles a quick like. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, and I will see you on down the road.